What kept a rural smith safe before PPE and manuals? A massive stone wheel, a careful fire, and a sharp eye for color. We're putting the old ways against modern grinder rules, all in one bench-length test. You'll see how temperature control at yellow-orange and an oxygen-lean fire replace speed and guards. Then we'll show where the risks actually spike: kickback, shattering stone, or hot short steel, and why a simple visor can be the difference in both era. Why does a slow hand-turned stone feel more dangerous than a humming angle grinder? Because your body stands in the line of fire. The wheel turns at eye height, wide open, with nothing between you and the rim. We work by hand. The risk sits simple and plain. Observe the setup. A bare stone disc on a stout frame. No guard. The face is open. A leather belt ties it to the drive, slick with use and a little stretch in it. Beneath, a shallow trough holds water. The wheel dips, lifts, and carries a wet skin up to your work. That water cools the stone and the steel. It also feeds the slurry that builds and throws. Old wheels seem gentle. They hum, not scream. But the danger hides in the stone. Micro cracks creep in from years of use, dressing that wandered leaves high and low spots. And the work zone sits right in front of your eyes. The blast line is straight out from the rim. Listen to it run. Grit hisses as steel meets the face. The sound turns from dry scrape to a steady whisper as the slurry wakes. Your hands feel a slow tug when the blade kisses wrong. Let the edge bite too deep, and the wheel pulls. A catch starts small, then it climbs. Think of a potter's wheel that bites back. If the clay is off center, the whole thing wants to walk. A stone wheel reacts the same way. Lose balance in the face and the load hunts for the high spot. The tool rides up and your arms follow. Now the sober part. Natural stone is not uniform. It came from a bank, not a mold. Variations run through it. Wet one day, dry the next, then a cold snap. Those cycles open hidden lines. Saturation and freeze-thaw carve faults you cannot see. Under load, those faults can let go. In years past, the user stood off to one side. Not out of habit, but by rule of thumb. A simple cap or a visor of horn or glass kept grit and chips out of the eye. Today, we add rated shields, fixed guards, and marked lenses. The idea is the same. Break the path, save the face. Start the wheel like a craftsperson. Test the rim with a light tool. A clear ring means sound stone. A dull note can signal a split. Dress the face until it runs true. Bring the high spot down. Set your stance off-center. Keep your chest out of the flight path. So what makes this old wheel so sharp a risk? No containment. If the rim fails, it sheds chunks at speed, with nothing to catch them. They go where they point. This brings us to the tool's partner, the fire that sets the steel's mood long before it tastes grit. Once we set that mood right, the wheel works less, and our hands do more with care. How can a quiet fire make grinding safer than a steel guard? By softening the fight before it starts. We let heat do the heavy lift so the stone only has to guide. Control the fire, and the wheel stops feeling like a wager. Before the modern era, we went to the forge first. The work came out of the fire with its mood set, hard where needed, soft where we plan to move it. Heat also laid down scale. That layer can help or harm, and the forge decides which way it leans. Now, fire brings its own traps. Sulfur in a dirty fuel makes steel hot short, so it crumbles under the hammer. Thick, flaky scale turns into loose grit that chews the wheel like sand in a bearing. Free oxygen at heat steals carbon from the skin of the steel. The wrong fire makes the stone pay for those sins. Your gauge is color. Aim for a steady yellow-orange, soft enough to move clean, not yet sparking at the edges. Hold that band and you set the grain for a fair grind. Let it run too hot or too lean, and you load stress into the piece before it even reaches the wheel. Keep the fire lean and reducing. That means it feeds just enough air for the fuel to burn, but keeps free oxygen low at the steel skin. Less oxide forms. The face stays cleaner. The first pass on the stone turns to a fine hiss, not a roar of grit. Here is the simple proof in practice. Charcoal yields a cleaner fire with less sulfur than raw coal. Wrought iron, with its fiber of slag, can weld with its own flux when handled right. Modern steels ask for closer control, since alloying shifts how fast they scale and harden. None of this needs a chart. It shows up in the feel of the hammer and the sound on the wheel. Work it by hand. Bring a bar to bright yellow-orange. Take 2 or 3 square strikes to draw and true the line while it moves easy. Return it to heat if the color drops out of that band. Then meet the stone while the skin is kind and the scale is thin. Notice the economy of motion. Less time on the wheel. Fewer passes. A cooler edge, which means the temper stays where you set it. Light pressure, so the blade does not dig and climb. You guide. The grit cuts. No wrestling. This is the quiet payoff. The fire lowers the wheel's burden. Controlled heat and color reduce the force you need at the rim, which cuts the odds of a grab, a face chip, or a burst from a hard catch. Moving to the next stage, we set the old wheel against a modern grinder. Same task, different speed. We'll see where risk really climbs when the tool starts to outrun your hands. If modern tools are safer, why do the injuries look worse when something goes wrong? Speed changes the stakes. When a disc spins fast, any slip turns small errors into big harm. So we set the ground rules first, and we stick to them. Observe the grinder as it should be. Guard in place and locked. Correct disc for the task. RPM on the tool matches or stays below the disc's rating. Face shield, glasses, gloves that don't grab. Solid boots. You set your feet, brace the work, and clamp it so the cut does not wander. Your hands stay clear of the arc. Your line of fire stays empty. Now to where things fail. A thin cut-off wheel hates side load. Tip it, and you turn it into a lever. The edge heats, flexes, and snaps. Grind on the face with a wheel made to cut, and it can burst. Let the curve pinch, and kickback rips the tool toward you. Even with all the gear, the wrong move puts you back in the line. Guidance repeats the same points for a reason. Eye and face hits, deep cuts, and broken discs show up when rules bend. Speed does not forgive. It raises the cost even as the checklists push odds down. That is why we slow our hands and let the wheel do the work. Take a simple pass on the same forged edge we eased on the stone. The angle grinder eats burrs in seconds, but torque reacts. One twist of the wrist, one catch in a corner, and the nose climbs. The path of travel points back at the operator's chest or thigh. You can hear the motor surge when you push too hard. That sound is a cue to back off. Here's the split in threads. The stone wheel looms with one big risk. A body of brittle material that can fail all at once. The grinder brings a different set. High-speed kickback and fragments from discs or work that break loose. Both demand respect. They just fail in different ways. We add some nuance. The hardware helps when we use it right. Guards block the arc of debris. Flanges spread load and keep the disc true. Rated discs keep pace with the motor. But these parts only help if you train your hands and make checks a habit. Tool choice is not the whole story. so we run the checklist out loud. Match the disc to the job. Keep the guard between you and the cut. Do a short test spin and stand off to the side while it comes to speed. Use 2 hands. Hold a steady angle. Do not force it. Let the wheel cut and keep the sparks flowing away from you. Use this way, the modern rulebook tames speed. The grinder's wrist drops below the naked stones when we honor its limits. Once the material is set and both paths are clear, we come back to the same plain shield that spans eras. The visor stays on, and the work takes center stage. Control beats speed. A steady fire and a light touch keep both tools in line. You guide the heat, then guide the wheel. The work stays cool. The edge holds. Risk drops. If you value these old ways, consider joining our community. Share what you make by hand. Tell us about the heritage skills you are preserving in your own workshop. We learn more when we work side by side, even through a screen. The wheel endures, but the visor is non-negotiable. Old or new, protect your eyes and let the work speak. Put the shield on, set the stance, and move with economy of motion. That's it for today. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more updates you won't want to miss.